Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer based in Charleston, South Carolina, who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is honored to be presented again this year by Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For more than 48 years, the Townsend family of dealerships has been a locally owned company built on service and connection with its customers. And their experienced team can walk you through the car buying process side by side, from test drive to service oil changes and beyond. Townsend goes through a rigorous vetting process to make sure that every pre-owned vehicle adheres to quality standards. And right now, there's plenty on the lot to choose from in various makes and models. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory, or if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Automotive salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. Sometimes, waiting for the conditions to be exactly right keeps us from seeing the opportunity in starting right now, even literally in our own backyards. But that certainly wasn't the case for one Charlotte, North Carolina farm. Located inside the city limits off Brookshire Freeway is Small City Farm, owned and operated by Kim Shaw and Rohan Gibbs. Although it currently stands at 3 acres in a rolling ranch house-filled neighborhood, it was originally a half-acre plot in the couple's former South Charlotte backyard. Kim spent her childhood summers picking and packing produce for restaurants in Hilton Head, but she didn't actually set out to farm as an adult. Instead, she entered the food and beverage industry, and in the early 2000s found herself tending a garden for Chef Paul Verica while serving as the catering director for the club at Longview. When her job was eliminated, she started growing produce and flowers full-time, and she's now grown into one of the region's most prized specialty producers. From delicate redbud flowers in the spring to Arkansas Traveler tomatoes in the summer and wide, deep green winter collards that some of Charlotte's best chefs swear by. Small City Farm is a reimagining of what we consider farming, and each season it proves how much creativity and ingenuity can yield. Welcome to the Southern Fork, Kim.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to be here for the second time in 1 week inside your house, inside your farm, inside what is known as the Shaw compound, I feel, at this at this level. I had so much fun on Saturday night, and I've loved coming here on assignment and learning about you. And I really wanted to expand that knowledge today and share it with Southern Fork listeners. So I really appreciate you letting me come visit.
I'm so delighted to have you back.
Wow.
Truly.
People have listened to the intro, so they know this is a very small farm, like a yard, like 2 lots of a suburban neighborhood size.
Yes, we're 3 acres.
3 acres. And I like linguistics a lot. I don't think that's a shock as a writer. but I like the linguistic shift from garden to farm. But I'd like to start at that idea of gardening. Do you remember when you first experienced, or can you share with us an experience of magic that you experienced in the garden when you were young that really captured your imagination to lead you to here?
I'm not sure if it led me to here, but my brother and I, when we were kids, I was born in England. And so I spent like real early childhood there. Yeah. When you're a kid, you have a different concept of like ingredient to finished product. So he and I one night saddled up my pony and went to the farm next door and stole a bunch of grain, brought it back, and between two stones, thought we were going to make flour.
Oh. But you understood milling.
Oh, yes, but not any other part of the process. So we just had like this sort of paste kind of thing that we tried to like cook. And it was just an unmitigated disaster. But that was my first farm to fork experience.
I love it. Here, it's as equal to flowers as it is food. At least your focus. Like, you put as much energy into one as you do the other. And
flowers are easier.
Flowers are easier.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
You were at Longview.
Yes.
Can you tell us just briefly that story again of being at Longview and that shift from gardening flowers to now doing this?
Sure. When I was at Longview, I was the director of catering and Paul was the executive chef. And I started a little garden there, just growing vegetables and herbs.
And that's Paul Verica for listeners.
Correct.
Yes.
We had a garden at my house in Cotswold, and Rohan did all the vegetables. I just did flowers. But at Longview, I did vegetables, and we had a very, very small amount of space. And that I did with Paul for 2 years.
And then when they wouldn't provide more space, but you wanted more vegetables, then
I asked Paul if we grew more stuff at my house in Cotswold, would he buy it? And for those who know Paul, he was like, yeah, totally. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, this could be cool. We'll expand, but we'll expand to my place in Cotswold and we'll do more for the club because we were out of space at the club almost immediately.
When I was here on Saturday night, one thing that really struck is how I would think of you as a full-rounded artistic person. You made the aprons. This dinner benefiting the farm was inspired by Edwardian silverware. You have a beautiful bookshelf full of things. You just seem to live what I think of as a high compliment, a bohemian life. How does that kind of aesthetic, that kind of artistry, that kind of creativity work in farming? Because I hear chefs all the time talk about that farmer is an artist. That farmer can do something that someone else. How is collaborating with nature feeding into that bigger aesthetic, creative life that you have?
The flower part is definitely, there's big bursts of energy in farming that really take a lot of creativity and a lot of, I don't know, it's so hard to explain. And then, like right now, summer is over. It is done. Most people think, oh my gosh, we're at the peak of summer. Yeah, no, you're not. What you are on here is the very, very edge of fall. Things that are going to be happening on your Thanksgiving table are starting to happen now. And there is creativity in that, in always looking forward, in never having a finished project that is very, very appealing to me. I already asked Ben, Philpott, who was one of our chefs on Saturday, we're already talking about, okay, what are we going to make for the farm lunch in November? So always to be onto the next thing. Although I will say a project like this dinner took such an enormous amount of creative energy. I haven't sewn anything except those aprons since March because all of that creativity went into that.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have anything more to spare.
Well, I'm a sewer too.
Oh, you are? Oh, how cool. I never meet regular people who sew. It's usually like...
Oh, I'm not regular, Kim.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like, not like crafty, Hobby Lobby, like, strangeness. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm not that. But I'm a quilter.
Now that is a whole nother thing. And that is so cool.
But I think what you do is cool because,
it's just a love fest up in here, folks, right now.
Yeah, we're all into it. But if we go into that world and that idea of projects and thinking of the farm as a project, all of these different crops as projects and planning dinners as projects and growing things for chefs, are you one of those farms that has a lot of junk around? Every farm I've ever been to, I'm a city girl. And when I get into it, I'm always like, there's like junk everywhere and it's kind of dirty. Like I always go and they're like, hey, come on in, come on into my house. And I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. There's just stuff on the table that I wouldn't put it on my dining room table, but they got to work on it.
Lucky for you, you're here right after an event, but in general, we are much, much more buttoned up than a lot of places. And that is not because I'm in some, higher ground than other farmers. It's because we have people here, once a year for an event. And then this year, for this one, to have people over to a farm, it has to look like the kind of farm that people have in their minds, which has abso-fucking nothing to do.
Yeah, this farm makes me feel like Peter Rabbit is going to be around the corner.
Very good.
With his cottontail.
That is the intent. And that is not at all what farming is, but it's what people think it is. Mm-hmm. So when we first moved here, there was nothing planted here. Not a single tree. It was just the 2 boxwoods that were out here. So everything you see, we planted, because when we bought this place, I was like, it's going to be a while before we can have events here, before we can have people here, for a proper event. And for this event we had on Saturday, it's taken us 12 years to get the landscaping right, to get everything looking the way that people think it ought to look, which is very, very dreamy and not real.
So on the day-to-day side of the real side of how it looks and how it feels, do I'm
going to talk about real.
Yeah, let's talk about real.
A week ago, I had to paint this room. I was like, if people are going to come inside, oh my God. And then I'm looking at the baseboards. I'm like, I never painted the baseboards when we got the floors done. They were only primed. And the amount of dirt, you couldn't see anything but wood on these windowsills because the dogs have scratched them up so much over the years. I had to paint that. The amount of cleaning, this house has not been this clean since 2015. And that is not any kind of joke. It is for real. This is so clean. To me, I'm not going to clean it again till November, and it's still going to seem hella clean.
But working with dirt is dirt.
Well, Rohan, my husband, always says that. He's like, this house is so dirty because, we're farming and blah, blah. And I'm always like, yeah, that's how it gets dirty, but it stays dirty because we don't ever clean it, hon. Like ever. Because I'm not cleaning. Are you kidding me? I don't have time to fuck around with that stuff. We got so much to do. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm just not doing it. And I don't mean that as an apology. I mean that just, anybody who's going to come in here, I'm aware of it, but I'm not doing it.
Well, you're at this precipice with a new barn. And, I know that you are going to chafe at this word, but I have heard, well, that is a hobby farmer. So
oh my God, that's so fun.
I know. So I would love, because, people are like, oh, 3 acres. And you get to have, and you get to have dinners with tablecloths and, you don't have to think about, watering 400 acres of soybeans and things like that.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear why. Number one, I know this isn't a hobby farm, so I'd love to hear just a really quick defense of that. But also, you're about to level up.
Yeah, to the hobby farm thing. God, it's hard to even address that because it's just so kind of hilarious. But there is that danger, when you on social media, you post the best and what have you. And so, people see that, the way things look out here is very pretty. It is very, oh, what a lot of charm. But everything here that's just looks to people like, what pretty flowers. Everything here can be turned into money. There's really nothing that I planted here that I'm not able to harvest. Even the big cypress trees, those go into Christmas wreaths. All the flowers end up on tables or for a CSA. There's a lot of herbs interplanted. So everything here's got a job and a purpose. So it's not just pretty. It's kind of convenient that it is. The amount of work that 3 acres is truly staggering. When we looked for this place, we thought we wanted more, and it would be neat to have more just so we could rotate things better, have things just, in cover crop while we're doing something else. But for me to actually do this 5 days a week and then Rohan to do it 2 days a week, the amount of work is absolutely staggering. When I have friends come here for the weekend, especially like last weekend, I mean, my friend Susan, she's one of those people who has big problems sleeping. I mean, she woke up on Friday morning. She's like, I haven't slept like that in years. I'm like, Sue, that's because you had 10 hours at hard labor, baby, with me. She's like, yeah, I guess that's it. I'm like, yeah, it is it. It's crazy. It's crazy work. But I'm glad. I know you said that I'd chafe at it. I kind of like that people think it's a hobby, and like, me in a straw hat, and a flowery dress.
I mean,
with a basket.
You're in a linen outfit right now. Your toenails are painted.
Well, don't look too close. And I made the shirt, so.
But you're leveling up. Yeah, those are dogs in the background, and they're farm dogs, and they're not used to being up. And I have a dog out here named Petunia Jane,
who's being as good as gold,
but is not a farm dog because she has double names like a girl. And she is very interested. I mean, you're doing CSAs, you were doing farmers markets, you're selling direct to chefs. You're making a living wage, a very low living wage.
Low. Yeah.
Not a Charlotte living wage.
Maybe not even an American one, possibly.
Because you're producing so much out of 3 acres. If people are listening to this, I hope that if they would come out here, you're going to want to plant something after visiting here because you're immediately like, I've got to go put something that can feed me into the ground. What keeps the production high?
I mean, I hope that we're better growers every year. I think we're better growers every year. A lot of what keeps the production high, honestly, is luck. It's weather. It's having the right thing planted at the right time, which it's so hard because, it's just hugely dependent on the weather.
We moved outside because the pups were wanting to be part of the podcast, but now we have beautiful birds so people can hear actually the sounds of the farm, which is nice. But the farm includes city water. Yeah. So how does that affect the farm?
It's crazy money when we have to irrigate. Crazy money. That's the bottom line. But it's about $10,000. The minimum for us to dig a well. So, and we catch water off the roof of the chicken house and off the house roof, which we can irrigate with some, but it's big money when we have to seriously water. Like this past month, it was so dry. I mean, it just.
And now we're in a cycle of wet every day.
Yeah, which is great. It's fine. But the dry, it's like, and I can't charge more. I can't go, hey, kind of need probably $4 a pound on account of the city water. Nobody's going to bite at that. So they're
going to be like, expense. Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
So you're really known for growing very specific varietals. And we talked the other day that is because of specific growing conditions here, but also you like a You like a seed catalog, Kim.
I do like a seed catalog. All farmers do.
Yeah.
They're so delicious.
And the hard copy catalog you can flip through, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's great.
It's fun,
Yeah.
especially when it's cold and, you can start dreaming. What is something that you just dreamed off the page this year and put in the ground and you're happy about?
I've got little tiny peppers. They're just regular peppers, but they're tiny, tiny. Like the ones you get in the grocery store. I don't know what they're called in the grocery store. They come in packs. I don't know because I would never buy them.
Oh, like red, yellow,
yeah,
and
they're
orange.
They're genie, yeah.
Yeah.
We grew those because ordinarily that might not be something that our CSAs would be happy about. But if they've seen them in the grocery store and then they're like, oh, okay, this is not a pepper that she's had some kind of problem with. And that's why it's so small.
What is the varietal? Do you remember?
They're Cupid.
Cupid.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
well, that's a nice name.
I mean, how cute. We just harvested them for CSAs for this past week, and they're super adorable. So that came right off of Johnny's. I don't love sweet peppers particularly, and I really like growing stuff that I really like, but
because you do have to eat it.
Because you do, and we're growing some decorative gourds this year, which I never grow. We don't really have the room for them, but I used to have a mug from McSweeney's that said on it, it's decorative gourd season, motherfuckers. I love that mug. So actually on the row marker,
you put that on there?
That's exactly what it says. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Because who can make any money with decorative gourds? I mean, come on. But, I'm like, that could be cute.
Decorative gourds are weird.
Sure,
they're fun to see.
Yeah.
Let's see what this one is.
What the hell?
Yeah. I'm always fascinated with volunteers. Do you have volunteers on the property?
Yeah, we do.
Do you like those? Some farmers don't, and some
when it comes
gardeners
to squash and stuff, you think they're going to be cool, but they're always just some kind of craptasticness.
Because they intermingle.
Yeah, they cross-pollinate, and then you get them the next year, and it's all just, they're just not cool. We have a lot of, who the fuck planted this? Mm-hmm. Especially in the landscaping. I don't know why. I always think I'm going to be smart enough to remember, and I don't need a marker. Mm-hmm. So it's not a volunteer per se, but it is a lot of, I have no idea what this is. I don't know who planted it, and, so we have a lot of that.
You're like, where am I right now? What is happening? Well,
this year we really tried to do better with labeling things. That's another thing. When I set things out, I'm like, this way, I'm going to remember what that is. I never do. So we really invested heavily in serious markers and really labeling every single thing and not relying at all on my huge brain for that, which is turning out real good. Let's not rely on my huge brain for really much of anything, shall we?
So I'm going to ask you a very woo-woo question. Since you did mention to me that you listened to the show, that I think you can handle it. One thing that I admire about you, and I only know you briefly, is that you...
I like that you've got one thing and you hardly know me.
That's
kind
right.
of impressive.
Well, maybe at least 3, but I'm going to go with this one for now. Is that you actually are adaptable to changing your identity through your work. Even though your identity is the same, a through line in American life and Western life, even though we say we're not and we can reinvent ourselves all the time. The first question you ask at a cocktail party is, what do you do? Who are you? And there's a sense of bravery. You combine that with the bravery that I always mention when it comes to farming. I ask every farmer, why would you do this? This is so hard.
Yeah.
And you have to be courageous because you're not working in a controlled environment, and that's a collaboration. So between a collaboration where you're collaborating with chefs who are trying to do their own thing and deal with their bottom line, you're collaborating with the flow of your life and kind of just being like, well, I'll do this. And then you're choosing this thing now that is even more edgy than catering, like a wedding or being a wedding planner.
My weddings are real controlled. Yeah, there's no riffing and
how can you speak to that? Can you give us some insight of that? Do you think about it later?
Are you asking me when I lost my mind? Is that where you're saying?
I'm sure that you lost it a long time ago.
That's what I'm saying. When precisely?
I am asking, do you think before you leap, or do you look back and leap?
That's the secret. That's the secret.
I'm asking the secret.
Yeah, I just go right ahead and I hate sitting around talking about doing things. It makes me crazy. It's like, let's talk about it for like 20 minutes and then just go ahead and do it. So yeah, that is the secret to all courage, is you do not look before you leap.
You just leap.
You just leap. Yes.
And
I wish it was something more refined and really
we need simple
like that, but it's not.
Do you look back and then go, oh shit?
Yes. Yes. And then I'm like, oh, there's another cliff. Let's just go careening off of that. Like, let's have 20 people here and do 10 courses, 200 plates. And then
you know what would be cool? Yeah. If I sewed all the aprons.
Yes.
I'm going to double down.
Yeah, exactly.
I've just never seen anybody double down like that.
Let's just paint the house real quick. You don't want
I was
long.
Like, what? Yeah. What is happening here? So
in my mind, none of that takes very long. In my mind, all of that shit is like, well, how long is that going to take? Like an hour and a half, maybe? That's no big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is something that you've learned from farming that you would never know before you left?
They would never know how hard it is. I mean, as hard as you think it's going to be, you wish it was that easy.
And what is the hardest part of it?
The hardest part has been actually selling what we have. For some reason, I thought that would not be difficult. It's been hard to understand growing more does not mean selling more. That's been really, it's very, very hard. And also to change the things that we grow and to kill things when they need to be killed. We took down 3 fruit trees this year. They're shedding out other trees. We didn't do it right to begin with. You have to do stuff like that feels like, ooh, geez, uncomfortable things. But to actually sell the stuff, that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
And so that's why relationships.
I'm not a salesperson. It should surprise you not at all to know that.
Anyone who sews aprons for a dinner, that's time, money, spreadsheets. That's not your forte.
It is not. And then somebody's like, can I buy an apron? It's like, oh, hell no. I wouldn't. That'd be crazy. I could never make any money doing that. I only do that for free.
That's why relationships and working directly with chefs and knowing what they're interested in and being able to talk with them, if you can target them or if they can tell you something that they want and they actually follow through with that, then that is one less hard thing, right?
Enter Fresh List. Fresh List, man, that's a really, really good thing. It's having them. I never thought that having a quote-unquote middleman would be great. It's really awesome. They are the one. Matt can go talk to all of those chef types and then come back to me and probably reword everything they have to say in some kind of way that I'm not going to go, are you fucking kidding me with that shit? And vice versa. And it's really good.
And Fresh List, there's an episode in the archives, definitely. I could talk more about that later. But it is a food hub.
Yes.
And for little retail, a lot of wholesale.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
and
that's
we do both sides of it.
And that's been a new thing for you. And then this barn is new. And it's a huge undertaking. And there's going to be a GoFundMe. And this is really a step up. And no one's going to be calling you hobby very much longer, Kim.
But I think that if I've got this little barn landscaped right, and I think I do, and cutie patootie enough on the inside, I mean, and it's ridiculous cute and not at all in my taste, but again, it's what people think of when they think of us. If I've done that right, people are even going to be more hobby. They're going to be like, are you kidding me? Really with this? That's not real.
Yeah, this is about to be an episode of Martha Stewart Living where she's like, I think I'll go pick lemons from your lemon tree.
People should be just rolling their eyes and going, doesn't she have anything better to do? I mean, seriously. if I've done it right, it will be more, a lot, not less, Stephanie, truly.
So I've already tried to talk you out of starting a retail farm store.
Yeah, that's the devil, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
With not me as front man, I can promise you that.
Keep running toward that cliff. Don't look back, because
yes.
Yeah, I'm back here going, no. What is literally, metaphorically, making you hungry to keep going with this experiment?
Well, when Paul Verica closed the Stanley, he's our longest customer. Obviously, he was our first customer. At Longview was my customer after we started this in Cotswold, and he closed the Stanley, and he was the last restaurant that we were dealing with directly. And that's a revenue stream that we have to make up. We can't not. So we don't have to make a lot of money doing a farm stand here, but we've got to make enough to make up for that. For instance, he was buying all of our eggs. We don't have an outlet for that anymore.
Right.
So it's not, do we want to do it? Do I want to do it? Not really. But look at all this effort we're going to do it. But we've got to make up that revenue.
And
we've no choice.
You're part of a community. You're part of a neighborhood.
Yes.
I mean, you're right on a main road, and people can hear traffic, and then you can also hear birds. And I heard chickens when I rolled up.
This is the biggest Coca-Cola bottler in America across the street.
Yeah. And there's a lot of trucks going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really, really close to I-85.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty convenient location.
It is, and people, who don't necessarily want to get up at the ass crack of dawn and go to some farmer's market can come here in a more leisurely way, at 9 o'clock ish,
To pick up things.
To get some flowers, to get some eggs, that kind of thing. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. What's one aspect of this job that really meshes like a puzzle piece with an aspect of your personality?
I get bored easily, so to constantly have things be new is great. Because we are constantly. It doesn't look like we've finished with things, but we are, and to constantly be able to go on to that new thing without getting bored is really good.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at that bush there. That's got to go away this fall. We got to re-landscape that. Number one, and the one that's just like it.
And we're sitting under a redbud tree. And
this was the first tree I planted here.
Jamie Swafford said she grows this tree for a week and a half.
Yep.
A year.
Yep. We've got 5 of them, and I know Jamie's coming to that. It's trifling business picking redbud flowers, but they're so pretty and they're so lovely. But that's why we planted them. If you think that's trifling, wait till you get to American beautyberry season, which is what pushes out in the front. Oh my God, that is trifling business.
Those hot purple berries?
Yes.
You can eat those?
It's the devil for oh yeah, of course you can eat them. Yeah, mixologists, la. They don't have a very strong flavor, but
they have a bright color.
They've got great color, and you need a lot of them, so you got to harvest them a quart at a time. Of those little motherfuckers. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm getting a flash forward about harvesting those. Freshless moves those for us.
That's pretty awesome. I never knew that you could eat. I'm sorry. I didn't know that American beauty berries were edible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will be foraging in your neighborhood and you won't know what's going on. What is something that's keeping you up at night?
Nothing.
Because you work 10-hour hard labor days.
Yep, nothing keeps me awake. Nothing. I do not lay awake in bed at night asking myself questions that I cannot answer.
You are a lucky, lucky woman. Okay, here it is. It's time. No pressure from me, because
None.
Kim has told me I have waited months for this question.
Truly. It's true.
So something I reserve for Southern Fork guests, of which I am thrilled to invite you into the community of, is a magic picnic basket. Now, this is something that is important to me because I love to ask people about their favorite foods, but instead of something the last meal you would ever eat, I want to ask you about some things that bring you life. I can go back in time to ask anybody to make one more bite of something specific that you really, really wish you could just taste again, I can source for you. Although you have Fresh List, you might not need me. And I did know American Beauty Berries were edible, so maybe not. And then I can cook a little bit, but nothing like any of the chefs that you work with. So what can I put in that basket for you?
First of all, you can put Brent and Dana Barbie's peaches in that basket.
Barbie peaches.
Oh, they are so good. They are just, most people think summertime, tomatoes, and that's true. But those peaches, God knows they are delicious.
Peach and tomato together with basil is a wonderful thing
yes,
too, and
ma'am.
fresh mint.
Such deliciousness. So that's first off. Second of all, what do you cook?
I cook a few things.
Tell me.
Good at a roasted chicken. Buttermilk brined roasted chicken with a fresh herb glaze.
Very good. Put that in the basket.
Okay. Biscuits.
What kind?
I'm a cream cheese biscuit person.
Ooh, very nice. What kind of flour?
White lily, self-rising.
Very good. Okay, that in the basket. Thank you.
I do make a peach crunch. And these are all things I can make without a recipe from the top of my head.
Tell me about the crunchy crunch.
Okay, so the peach crunch is actually a slump. And the former food editor...
A slump? That is my posture.
The former food editor of the Post and Courier, Anne Thrash, she actually gave me a cookbook, and it was in there. It was one of her recipes. So it's a slump or a dump or a cobbler.
Okay.
If you've heard these versions. So you put the peaches in, and then you do an egg with flour and sugar, just like a little bit. So it's real dry and lumpy.
Okay.
And you pour that on top.
Is it sandy?
Sandy,
okay.
lumpy,
Yep.
And then as it cooks, it creates the cobbler on top, and then it's crunchy from the white sugar.
Yes, please.
Okay, I can do that with Barbie peaches.
Yep. What else you got?
I'm pretty good at a bourbon old-fashioned and a gin martini up with a twist.
Excellent. Make mine a double.
Okay, both of those doubles?
Yep,
sounds
sure.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And, I do some Carolina Gold rice. I'm a rice purist, though. Just rice with butter and salt.
Very good. Okay, that's the basket.
Whoa.
Yep, that's the basket. Let's take it down to the garden and go sit and eat it. Now, please.
I'm going to take some time to get some thermoses.
I'll give you a minute. Next time I see you, I expect you to be bearing all of this goodness.
Yeah, well, I can do all of that.
People asking things from the past, all these things that they can't have. I ask for things that I absolutely know I can get. So just know that. Don't come up in here empty-handed.
No pressure. No pressure at all. I'll just cook and record and get some white lily flour and get it done.
All that business in your free time. Hobby. Don't you do this as a hobby?
I'm a hobby cook.
Of course,
that is what
hobby,
I am.
And writers, and now your hobby. Really.
I just have this podcast / blog.
Of course, you got so much time.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't we? Yeah, really.
Well, let's just get our beautiful wicker baskets and put them over our arm and go pick some flowers right now.
I'm going to change into a floaty dress.
I'm already in a floaty dress.
We are, and let's do that and leisurely go harvest. We need 50 pounds of tomatoes for Sweet Lou's barbecue and another 25 for Ashley Boyd at 300 East. Also, she has requested Thai basil.
Okay.
So we need to go do that.
We'll do that.
And make it look like
as we sip
pleasure.
Beautiful herb-infused iced tea. If people want to learn more about Kim Shaw and Small City Farm in Charlotte, North Carolina, you can go to thesouthernfork.com. I'm going to have links there as well as images so you can see the face behind the voice and also this really beautiful property. She calls it cute. It's real cute. If you like what you hear, Fresh List is in the archives. Ashley Boyd is in the archives. There's a lot of other stories. And what I am hoping that you will get from this is that the culinary world that surrounds you is interconnected. Just as you are interconnected when you are eating and cooking and enjoying it, it is interconnected behind the scenes. And so I hope that you will dive into the archives and learn a little bit more about the people in that scene. Thank you so much for letting me sit.
Thank you so much. That was a blast.
Great. Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouthful. I'm going to switch gears this week and just want to let you know about a piece of edit that just has debuted on the website Thrillist, which is a huge eating and drinking and traveling media platform if you don't know about it. But I have updated a list of the 14 best seafood restaurants in Charleston. So if you happen to be out and about in Charleston, South Carolina this summer, and you're like me, you're going to be wanting to eat seafood. So I have listed an entire 2 full weeks of options for you to check out. And if you received my newsletter this week, then you've already received the link to that article. You can definitely just Google it, but something that might be easier is if you want to receive the Southern Fork newsletter. I promise you it is just once a month, and that is barely because I write it myself, and it is one of those tasks that just like so many that we have at the freelance desk, sometimes it gets pushed to the last minute. But I often include roundups of recent episodes as well as my current work. And so for those of you that just know me as a podcaster, you should be pretty familiar at this point that podcasting and my work as a podcaster grows out of my work as a working food and travel writer. So you can go to thesouthernfork.com, and there is a sign up field right on the homepage, and you can just put your email in there and sign up. And if you prefer not to, but still want those seafood restaurants, a quick Google search of Thrillist Best Seafood Restaurants in Charleston will provide what you want. Thanks so much for listening. I'll be over here eating and writing until I talk to you next time.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you going to eat all that?